Welcome to Technically Zen, a GovCIO media and research podcast where chaos meets clarity. Take a breath, lean in, and let's find your Zen.
Today we have a very special guest, Agathe Merle, who's a cybersecurity leader and advocate for inclusion in technology. With over a decade of experience supporting Fortune 100 companies, government agencies, and elected officials, she brings a unique perspective to the ever-evolving world of cyber defense. Raised in Martinique, very cool, Agathe's cross-cultural journey has fueled her passion for helping women break barriers in cybersecurity, a truly passionate topic that I truly enjoy speaking about. So thank you so much for being here today, Agathe.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited.
Yes, me too. And I'm sure the audience is as well. So let's just jump right in. I know we were speaking before earlier, and you indicated that cybersecurity was really not your end goal. You kind of got into it by accident. So looking over your decade journey here, and seems like what started as an unexpected career path is now your mission. So can you walk us through how that happened and maybe the moment that you realized that cyber actually just wasn't your job, it was actually part of your purpose?
Yes, so I'd like to say that I got into it by accident because I didn't apply for my first job in cybersecurity. I had a contracting agency reach out to me for a project coordinator role under the director of security operations at the first company I worked at. And I didn't really know anything about, I had not worked in IT, not worked in cyber or anything close to it. And I just thought, okay, why not? Let us see what this is about. And it sounded to me like they just really needed somebody to get them organized, and that was something that I was pretty good at. And so I just jumped in, and then once I got into that role, I saw that there were a lot to learn, and I found it to be interesting, the cybersecurity component of it. So I just started learning. At the time, we were using McAfee antivirus, so I learned how to handle the console for the antivirus, and little by little, I learned more and more skills. I spent all of the 9+ years, I guess it's close to 10 now, that I've been in cyber in security operations, which I found to be an area that did not have a lot of women and that also did not have a lot of diversity. And I think the piece of it becoming more of a purpose-driven path was when I realized that there were not a lot of different people in that area of cyber, and I saw how it was almost a flaw and that it was something that could be improved. And that's where came my passion to make it more welcoming for others and help to pave the way for other women and other people, diversity backgrounds, to be able to come into the field in general, and particularly security operations.
That is wonderful. I could vouch for that. I know when I started in cyber about 25 years ago, this is before it was called cyber, looked out there and couldn't really see anyone that looked like me from many different angles, and just being a minority and also just being a female in this space. It's great to see strong leaders such as yourself trying to do more and give back to the world and give back to our industry, and trying to bring more girls and women into the field, and have them feel included in the space. Because I know when I first started like you in more the technical side of cybersecurity, there's this common myth out there that you have to be very technical to get into cybersecurity. But I know now the field has just grown and expanded over time, that you really can get into this field from, many different angles, the creative side, the artistic side, the communications, avenue. So It's truly inspiring to me, and I'm sure others out there to see, more women leaders such as yourself really trying to do more to encourage girls and women. So let's actually dig a little bit deeper into that. So you created Cyber Like a Girl to help girls and women get into the field. So, okay, please tell us about more about that, and also what barriers are you still seeing today, and what can we do as leaders, both men and women, because we do need our male allies as well, do differently to create a stronger pipeline for future cyber talent.
Yes, so Cyber Like a Girl started as a almost a general idea, and then so far out of this, I've created a book, and then I'm hoping in the long term to create more group-like activities, maybe even create some in-person, almost workshop or retreats type of events, because I think that I know for me, one thing that has helped me is when I was able to connect with other women. When something, especially if something negative happens to you at work, if you can connect with another woman and discuss that, it helps you to feel like you're not alone. And that is a very, very important piece because, as you said, when you come into this field, you look around and there's not going to be many people that are going to look like you even today. So
Yeah.
it's very helpful to know there are other out there, that there are resources, and that you might have to go a little bit out of your way to find those others and those resources, but they are there and they do exist. And I think it's very important for the young women who are trying to get into the field to know about that. And then as far as the leaders, so I wrote a book called Cyber Like a Girl, and part of the advice section of that book has advice for companies and leaders on how do you make your workplace more inviting to not just women, but also all minorities.
Mhm.
Because if you open the door for women, the minorities will usually follow because statistically, societies where women have more rights, everyone ends up having more rights as a result as well. So it's the same with teams. If in your teams you make it welcoming for women, it's going to end up being more welcoming for everybody else. And some of the things that you can do is start with the job description that you're posting, your job listing. Make sure that there's no biased wording in it that might deter women candidate from applying. This is something that, that people always talk about how men apply for all the jobs and women only apply if they're qualified up to like 90 or 100%. So first of all, to all the women, you should always apply to the job, even if you don't think you're fully qualified because you might as well just try it. You never know what's going to happen. And then for the leaders, make sure that at the entry point, so check your onboarding process, check all of your job posting. Are they unbiased? Then check when you're doing interviews. Maybe you need to implement that at least one of the candidates you talk to is going to be either a woman or a minority because
Mhm.
sometimes you just if you might have an unconscious bias in your and a lot of places now are using these ATS. If your system is biased, you're not going to see candidates that might be just as good. So
Mhm.
from the hiring piece, be a bit more open-minded when you look at the experience and the requirements that you have, because we are always talking about, oh, I want someone technical. In our job listing, we'll list all the tools we want the person to have, but really what most people need, what's most people leader need is someone who's going to be really motivated, who will be willing to learn and who will be willing to adapt. And that's not necessarily something you can easily tell from a resume if you're just looking at the tools the person can use. So be more
Mhm.
open-minded in the recruiting process. Then, once they are on your team, make sure that you audit yourself as a leader. Audit how you're behaving. See Okay, it's great you brought in, let's say you brought in two women out of your team of six. How they treated, you know, in your team, how they treated in your organization. Do they get the same respect other team members do? Do they get the same amount of talking time, for instance, when you're doing a town hall meeting? Are they getting treated the same as
Mhm.
their other counterparts? That's going to be something you want to watch for and make sure that you look at regularly to see that things are going well. And then if something bad happens, because if you've been a woman in cyber for more than 5 minutes, you've seen it. So if something bad does happen, are you actually doing something about it? Because one of the things that when I wrote the book, I interviewed 100 women and I asked them about how has being a woman helped them in their career, and then how has it harmed them in their career. And a lot of them mentioned how either harassment or various type of negative behaviors towards them. And most of them said that either they never reported it, or if they did, it was pointless because it never ended, nothing happened. So
Yeah.
the leader, if something bad happens, you need to address it. So you don't want to do major public shaming, we're not going this crazy, but you do want to make sure that everyone within the org knows that that kind of behavior is unacceptable and it will not be tolerated, and let that be known enough that it doesn't happen again.
I think based on my own experiences in different organizations, you're absolutely right. I feel like as women, we're kind of put between a rock and a hard place where, we want to say something, but then we're apprehensive about the repercussions of saying something. And there is a double standard, unfortunately, even till this day, regardless of which level of the organization you're at, even being in a leadership role does not really give you any safer space than being in a more of a junior position. And I've found that unfortunately there's with those double standards, if you are a strong female leader that like you, detail oriented, knows her stuff, and is trying to keep her organization in check. There's always somebody or other that's going to complain, and then as a woman, you're kind of told to, you know what, just kind of die down a bit. Like you don't have to be so aggressive. I'm like, would I have gotten the same uh kind of guidance if I was if I was a male? Where I think most males are, oh, he's just a really strong leader. Like he knows exactly what he's doing. So I think those are some great points that we can't we do need to stand up for ourselves, and we can't be afraid of the repercussions. But I think the more that we promote awareness of this out there, hopefully things we can start seeing things change. More so than they are now. So actually, let's dive into. You mentioned your book. So where can people find your book?
Oh, it's on Amazon. So
Amazon.
anywhere that you have Amazon in the world, you can find it.
Wonderful. And it's called Cyber Like a Girl,
Like
just
a
like your
girl. Yep.
organization. Okay,
Yep.
perfect. Perfect for so the audience out there at Amazon, Cyber Like a Girl. And
Yes.
so you mentioned you interviewed about 100 women around the world that you and you've never been afraid to use your voice, whether speaking with executives or practitioners or really anyone. So after hearing all of those stories from people, what is one message you wish every young girl or every young woman out there could hear today?
hmm Well, for the young girls, it's one of the women I interviewed. I asked them all at the end, give me a piece of advice, word of wisdom. And one of them said, don't let grumpy old men tell you you don't belong. And I love this one because it's it's true, and you can remove, grumpy. Well, I would keep the grumpy, but just grumpy people. You don't have to. It can be women too, and people of any age. But just don't let the grumpy people tell you you don't belong. If this is the field you're interested in, if this is what you want to do, there is a spot for you. and you will find your path. It probably won't be like mine, it won't be like yours. Everyone has a different journey into cyber and into their career as a whole. So, just go for it because what's the worst that can happen? If it's a bad experience, you'll learn from it and then you'll do something better next time. So just go. If this is what you want to do, don't let anyone stop you. I work with a lot of interns at my current company and a lot of, we have a young professional development program. So I work with a lot of these people as well. One of my top goal for myself whenever I encounter young people is I want to literally, put wings on their backs because I want them to walk away after having interacting with me feeling like they can do anything. And I love empowering them and seeing them realizing, oh, I know all of this and I can do this and I can do that because when you're young, you always have this feeling that, oh, I don't really know much. I don't know enough. Maybe I shouldn't say, oh, maybe my opinion is not as valuable because I don't have as much experience. And it's true you don't have experience maybe in the workplace or working for a company or things like that, but you have other experience that's just as valuable. So speak up and, just go for it.
That is awesome. So, talking about other types of experience and maybe skill sets, one thing I love about your message is that you view creativity as a weapon against threat actors, which we don't really hear very often in the cybersecurity world. So, can you talk to like where did you come up with that concept, and how has that thinking helped you solve problems in the cybersecurity industry?
Well, to me, when you look at cybersecurity, we on the defense side, we have a lot of constraints because we work for companies that have policies. We abide by all the regulations at our local level, international level. So we have a lot of constraints. But when you look at threat actors, they don't have any of that. They have, really high budgets most of the time. They can do whatever they want. They can use whatever tool they want. They can break all the laws. So the way I see it to me is our only advantage is how we're gonna creatively think of these problems. So instead of just being like, well, whenever this particular threat happens, this is normally what we do. Well, how about we think about it differently? Because that's our only weapon at this stage. Especially now that you have new technologies coming around like AI that help the threat actors be even faster and more efficient on the defense side, we just have to think outside the box, be creative, think of a different way to counteract the issues, and even think of it creativity into your job as someone who works like me. I've worked in cybersecurity within large enterprises. Be creative on how you talk about cybersecurity to your internal stakeholders. Instead
Mhm.
of always being I'm the department of no that tells you you cannot do this and you can't do this and your safest computer is turned off. Be creative on how you approach people and how you talk to them about cybersecurity so that they can start thinking about it differently
Mhm.
because it will help both you as the cyber practitioner and it probably will help the business that you serve because they'll start getting different ideas of how they can do what they were trying to do in a different way.
That's great. I always try to tell the story in a way that resonates with the other party. Especially in if you're working in a healthcare sector or in a sector where there's different types of stakeholders that are not all IT savvy or even technology savvy. I found that it's really important to understand their pain points and what is their story, and be able to kind of be creative, as you pointed out, and be able to come up with examples or stories as to why should they care about it. Because cybersecurity is your role. If you're in the cybersecurity department, it's not really their role. So how can we put this so that it really resonates with and speak their language? So that's great. So we always end with our last two portions of the podcast with a call to action and a wellness tool. So let's start with the call to action. I know you do a lot of work with women and young girls. So if there's a young girl listening right now who's curious about cybersecurity but isn't quite sure she belongs, what is one small action she can take today that would encourage her to maybe just put one foot into the cybersecurity world.
So the first thing I would say is find a local group, whether it's a local chapter of a large cybersecurity org. Find someone near to where you live that you can connect with and talk about cybersecurity with. Maybe it's a small conference, maybe it's a online forum for a specific group in your area, but connect to those people. This is something they can easily do, if they have LinkedIn or Google, or they can use the AI of their choosing. I know the young people use AI as a search engine. Look for a
Mhm.
group in your area that you can connect with and that you can either start attending their events or start meeting virtually. You can do either or so that this will give you two things. First of all, it'll give you people you can actually talk to and say, what is your role actually like? This is something I do with our interns. I make them meet the different teams in cyber because what they've learned in school does not always translate to what that job will be like in real life. So I
Mhm.
want them to talk to someone who's on the incident response team, someone who's on the vulnerability management team, someone who's on our governance, risk, and compliance team to learn what's the day-to-day actually like. Because when you are young, you don't really know what you want to do, you don't know if this field is for you, it's important for you to know what the work will look like. So you could
Mhm.
see, first of all, does it really interest you like you thought it would? Because, cyber in the movies is cool, but is it really what you want to do? You need to find that out. And then also, you want to know, are your skills aligned with that? Because maybe you love coding, but and you love, like, pen testing is one where a lot of the students will come in and like, oh, I want to be a pen tester. It looks so cool. Like, do you also really enjoy writing reports? Because that's going to be a significant portion of your job. And if you don't know how to write properly, you probably won't like it as much as you think you will. But if they have not talked to someone, there's no way to know. So connect, talk to the person, find out what the job is really like. And then the second thing it's going to do for you is going to start to build your network. And especially today, to find a job, especially if you don't have a lot of experience, the network is it's everything you need because that's going to help you to get at least an interview once you start building those relationships with people and they can take a chance on you. Because especially if you're
Mhm.
just starting, you really need someone to take a chance on you who's gonna say, okay, you don't have a lot of experience, but I see you have, these groups you've participated in your school. You do these projects on your GitHub on the side. I see you have this passion. I see you have this drive. I'll give you a shot. And you get that by someone having met you and known you through some sort of networking.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's actually how I got into cybersecurity. I was already in the job world, but my one of my old previous bosses actually saw, oh, you're really in problem solving. You're really good in, you're very detail oriented, and there's this new cybersecurity field out there that you should, you might actually be really good at that. Just jump in there and. But I remember when I was looking it up and seeing who's in this space, I'm like, okay, this is as you pointed out earlier, it looks like a lot of Caucasian older men that didn't seem very, no one was like me, but they're like, you know what, let me jump into it. What's the worst that can happen? And here I am 25 years later. It's almost kind of a field that once you jump in, you really can't get out of it because it's just so, it's just growing every day. And lots of different skill sets that you need now with AI. Technology only keeps increasing over time. So that's great point. Now, we always like to end our conversations with a wellness focused question. So, and we all know cybersecurity can be very demanding, fast-paced, and many times overwhelming. So, what is one wellness tool or practice, or just mindset shift that helps you stay technically zen in all this chaos?
I don't have a specific tool, but then my answer is get a work bestie. I just talked about it with my work bestie this morning, and we talked, whenever something crazy is happening, I message her or I call her, and having that person that I can vent to or bounce ideas of, who understands the field, who understands the dynamics of everything we got to deal with. It's so precious because this is someone that, can I can tell all my secrets to, and then she's gonna help me and I'll help her. It's a constant help, and also it is support, because like you said, we get bombarded with everything, as a field in general, and then working in large corporations, you get bombarded with all sorts of things. There's always a new priority that's coming, a new technology that's coming, a new tool you gotta master, and having the one having in I have one, you can have multiple as
Mhm.
well, but I have one main one that I can go talk to, and if I'm losing my mind, I can ask and say, "Am I losing my mind here? Like, this, am I thinking about this right?" Or sometimes it's just something silly, like, "Can you help me write this email so I don't sound like I'm so I'm so mad?" Or can you tell me what should I do? What's your advice? And it helps to reconnect you to what matters in life, which I
Mhm.
personally believe is the relationships you build with people. How people make you feel, how you make them feel. That's really your long-lasting impact in the world, whether at your job or at home.
Mhm.
So coming right back to a person you can talk to and who can bring you that comfort, I would say that's my wellness tool.
Yeah, that's great. I
And
think
then
you're actually landing on the topic of you're kind of creating a psychologically safe net like around you. And so there's one person or there's many people,
Mhm.
having that safe space to, share ideas, even if you think your idea is bad, but at least have someone be able to say, yeah, would probably wouldn't do that if I were you, or yeah, you know what, you should do that. We'll back you up. And that's
Yeah.
that's actually really important as women, especially in a male-dominated field, to have, whether it's a female bestie or whether it's a male bestie, someone that has your back, but is also willing to point things out that, yeah, in a truthful manner. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Agathe. It was so great to have you here today.
Technically Zen is a GovCIO media and research podcast hosted by me, Jojo D, a technology and cyber executive, author, coach, wellness expert, dance director, and mom of 3, exploring the human side of technology, leadership, and wellness in an increasingly complex world. To explore my books, coaching, speaking, and advisory work, please visit jyotidugar.com. For more episodes, please visit govciomedia.com. And remember, there is wisdom in the chaos. Let the chaos teach you. Lead with presence. And until next time, stay technically zen.